Welcome everybody to episode 10 of the Spaceport series and what might be the final episode. So weird thing happened. The audio for this was totally weird. I mean, it just completely went nuts on me, and there was all this feedback noise and we don't know where it was coming from. So I'm going to do a weird thing. I'm actually looking at this video in DaVinci and re-recording it following the transcript on a different screen. So what you're looking at is everything in here that we spray painted before, right? And it looks kind of plain at the moment. So what I did is I got my little box of Greeblies out here. And all this stuff right here that you see, these are like graphite ferrules and stuff for pipe fittings and whatnot. And all the stuff came off of various instrumentation and stuff. And this is actually a dial off of a hard drive wheel. Here's some little motherboards. I've got a bunch of these little broken up ones here. And I thought some of these surfaces here look kind of plain. So I'm going to paint everything, but I don't want to sit here and start painting like what looks like a keyboard, you know. I mean, I could print off a little keyboard and get some glue and stick it on there, and that would be okay. But I got all this other stuff here, so let's take some of this stuff and do some other stuff with it. So I'm gonna put some glue here, and then let's just stick that there. And then we got this other one here, just a little piece of a motherboard. Sorry about the resolution up close. This camera is just weird. And it doesn't focus very well up close. It does fine. I've messed with the internal parts of it, the menus and whatnot, and then just not a great camera, but it was only $80. So, okay, put some glue on the back, and we're going to just put it right here. And now you look at this one and the other one, and it looks like some sort of a console, right? It looks like a keyboard, or there's little buttons there that you can push. That's kind of the look we're going for. And I got a lot of junk here. So I was sitting here drinking my coffee this morning, and I was like, let's see if we can fix this. So let's put a little glue on here and see if we can get this to stick right there. That's pretty good. And I can just paint over that. I can spray paint it or get my little paint set out and paint it to different colors. So what it does is it adds a little surface texture is what it's doing. So like on top of that little thing, there wasn't much going on, but if I take this little piece and stick it on there, it's a little hard to see. I'll bring it up close here. So it's just a little plastic thingy. And there you go. I don't know what it's going to be, but you can see that we're texturing up a little bit. Now the other thing I found, let me move some stuff out the way here, is this little ink cartridge. And it probably looks familiar to you, but if I turn it that way and put it down, let's move these other things out of the way. Okay, I put that there. And if I take my little figure and put it in front of it, it's just about the right height for some kind of a instrumentation console that you would see at a space dock or a mechanic spot for starships. And it's definitely perfect for this little robot right here, the little droid. So we'll spray paint this with some gray, and then we'll go back and put some stuff on there, some more Greeblies. Maybe something like this, little black button there, that could work. Or this little thingy right here. I mean, I like this little piece. It looks like something like droid eyes or something you would look into. Kind of place things around and see how you think they would look, and then glue it down. Okay, so now if we go back to this piece, you notice we had that big open space there. So I had another idea. We'll put a little bit of glue here, and I'll glue this piece onto here. And now it's, what is that? Maybe something that droid would look into, or you would look into to see small whatevers, or maybe a holographic display projector. And then we'll do something similar with this other one. Got this little gear, probably off of a printer. So you see how that looks now. Okay, I'm just breaking up the surface here of various things. So you see how it looks very plain right now. And even though you may not see the back when it's sitting somewhere, if you do move it sometime or later on, let's break up the monotony of it, right? And that's where the Greeblies come in. It's like fine details. So there's this little screen I found. So we'll put some glue on there. There we go. Okay. And so that's the front. So now that looks like a console. If we turn it around, you see one of these pieces might look pretty good there. Was it a different one? Yeah, I think it was this one I wanted to put there. Hot glue is awesome. Probably this is from, I took a lot of printers apart. So let's just stick that on there. Look at that. So a couple pieces added. And now just the back end. Looks like there's something going on, right? And even down here we could put something, or we could take the side and put this little thing on the side. That might be enough. I might just paint that and fill it in the space. Maybe put some colors on there. And let's make some room here. Everything's kind of a mess. Okay, so really wanted to figure out what to do with these. I wanted to put a little bit more stuff on here, and I found a bag of these weird little metal thingies. And I know the focus looks really bad. It's pretty blurry. You can't see, but it looks like if you took a fuse apart. So I was thinking of maybe just gluing those onto the barrels, but I wasn't sure. It's not bad, but I don't know. So now I'm just kind of thinking about what to do next. And I didn't find anything else in my little kit. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about here. Not the table. There we go. We're moving the camera now. Focus is terrible. But here's my little box grid. Look, there's tons of stuff in here. These are all printers and instrumentation things that I took apart. Here's a button. And what else we got in here? We got a bunch of fuses. These are bus fuses. And then here's like a little cylinder from a printer. You can see the little red copper coils. Lots of buttons. All sorts of little round thingies. There's a switch. Some little metal thingies. These coil things look pretty good. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those, but I think they would come in handy for something. Those are all from inside computer boards. That is also off the printers and hard drives. See, here's another hard drive spinner. I got a bunch of those. Alright. I had a little bit better camera stabilization here. So I was trying to find some more stuff to put on. So this unit here, wouldn't mind putting something on the back of here. Maybe this piece will go good here. Yeah, I think that'll work. So let's get a little glue on there. And it's all about just layering things up to break up the monotony of a plain surface. There we go. I'll let that dry for a minute. Okay, so now this guy, because it's so round and cylindrical, it's going to be kind of hard to put stuff on there and then not take away from the roundness of it. Here's a little piece. That might look good there. I know my hand's in the way, but maybe not this one. Tell you what. Here's a nice little piece. It's kind of like a little lower lock needle piece here. If you don't know what lower lock is, you can look it up. It's the way hypodermic needles connect to the syringe. But they come in metal pieces and whatnot. Let's put a little glue on there and see if we can just stick that on there. At the end of this, I'll show some close-up photos I take with the iPhone. Much better resolution in those pictures. Okay, so we put one piece, another piece. Let's just put a few more pieces and go all the way around. So one of my friends messaged me. He was watching my YouTube channel and he was like, hey, where do you get all these Greeblies from? And I was like, well, okay, so I worked at a chemical plant that went out of business, or they shut it down. I still work for the company, but they had all these electronic bits and parts and just boxes and boxes of stuff. But you know, you can always go to Goodwill and maybe the Salvation Army and look for printers, fax machines. Fax machines are great. You take those apart, lots of motherboards and little keyboards and spinny things like the hard drive motors and other weird shaped metal pieces you can do. Just get a screwdriver and start taking everything apart. So we broke up the surface a little bit on that one. Let's move that over. What else we got? Not sure if I'll do anything else with that. Maybe this one. This one was a pain in the butt. So the top part came off just because it's so heavy. And the bottom parts are also heavy. So let's just put some fresh glue on there and stick it back in. And, you know, from now on when I move it, I'll just grab it from the bottom. You know, there's no right or wrong to doing this. You just got to have at it and play with it. So next time I'll just, you know, pick it up from the bottom like this and move it around. Alright, so let's see if we can glue some things onto the sides here. Let's just take this little bit here. It looks kind of, you know, it's oddly shaped. It doesn't have to be straight. It can be crooked or at an angle, diagonal, sticking out, whatever. So, you know, I mean, this is part of the Star Wars universe. It doesn't have to be perpendicular or parallel. It could be whatever, any direction. It's just background details. And you can do it however you want to. If you don't like it, you can get some tweezers and just tear it off. So I got this little motherboard here. Let's put a little glue on there and see if that'll stick. It's a little uneven, so we'll put a lot of glue on the lower part. Just needs to stick. There we go. Hold it in place. Looks like it's staying. So now we got that on there. Look at that. Little glue strings there. We might be damaging the surface of the spaceport tarmac a little bit, but that's okay because we wanted to rough it up a little bit. We were going to. So the other thing I did is where the marketplace was, I've decided to take that styrofoam off of there that was there, and I think I'm just going to turn it into like a little storage depot and take all these Greeblies and stuff that I'm making and some other ones and just put them back there so they look like, you know, a parts depot that like Watto had on Tatooine. Okay, so let's take this piece and stick that on there. And I think that'll look good here. I think that also came off of a printer. That looks pretty good. I like that piece there. Put another one next to it, or put this on the other side. Not sure. Put it to the side for a second. Let me just turn it and take a look. Okay, so I think we're good with that one for the moment. I don't want to spend too much time on any one. I'm just giving you an idea of how we're going to do this. We can go back and spray it with gray primer, or just spray use the brush with it. So just wanted to show you how we're doing this, and we're breaking up the bland surfaces of all these items. We're giving it texture. And, all these things were flat and, monotone, and now look, they've got some three-dimensionalness to them. And what is it? Well, like I said, it can be whatever you want it to be. Maybe it's a fuel pump or a memory cord dump unit. And these little things, they look like barrels, but I just don't know what to do with them. I was thinking of maybe printing out some little hazmat symbols and putting them on there. That might work. That way, hazardous symbols are universal. Maybe for like fuel and then fuel waste, and they gotta empty their gray holes and whatnot. Not sure where I'm gonna put all these things, but we'll put them around. So these wires are a pain in the butt, but see, we could put this over here. Maybe it's like a droid interface, but it's a little wobbly, and I think it'll tip over. So this piece was tipping over in the previous episode, so I glued a piece of plastic to the bottom that I had from somewhere, and now look, it's fine. It's not tipping over anymore. Never throw your stuff away. See if you can save it. Put in a tote. You can use it for something. Alright, let's get all this stuff out of the way. Let's bring over the big one. So I took the handles and glued them all together. So all three pieces are just being held together with some glue. They're actually valves for pipes, right? You turn the handles and you open and close them. And so I glued two of them together, where the handles would meet, and then glued the third one and just dumped a lot of glue down the middle, and it's holding. So that by the way, the glue gun has Gorilla Glue in it. And it's very strong. It's good stuff. I'm thinking this little pipe piece might fit up there pretty nicely. Let me see. Maybe there's something else. How about that piece? That looks pretty good. I guess we could go bigger. How about that look? Oh yeah, I like that. That looks much better. Let's see. Do I have anything else before I glue that together? Let me see. What about this stuff over here? Maybe that piece? Yeah. Either one would work. I do have quite a few of those, so let's just go with this one. Yeah, so we'll put some glue around the little circle, and then the Gorilla Glue holds right away. And it's centered, and it spins, but not sure if it will actually show that or anything, but it does look pretty cool. Hey, that piece fits on there pretty nicely. Okay, well, let's put that piece on there too. See, we're just layering up. And there you go. So, we're just adding stuff. Yeah, I think it came out a little crooked actually, but it's okay. So we added a few things to it. Now it looks like something, let's see, what could that be? I thought maybe I said moisture evaporator earlier, like on Tatooine, but it could be a power generator? Yeah, I like that. Let's call it a power generator. And then we can download some lightning symbols there and put them on there and make it look like it's You take over a tube or a hose to it and supply power. Now, what else? Well, you get the idea of what I'm trying to do. You know, I don't think you want to sit here and watch me do every little thing, but I'm not going to show you how to spray paint everything. You know how to do that. But I did want to show you roughly what we're doing. You know, you get some parts, put some Greeblies, do some texturing and some layering, and now they look, you know, completely different. Like, you know, like if Hasbro sold something like this, and they said, hey, here's a power generator. This is a Starship fuel pump or a hyperdrive unit from a Superstar Destroyer. And you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I'll go ahead and give him $15 for that. Well, you know, I just sat here and put a whole bunch of pieces together, and this is all junk that I found somewhere. You know, there's some guy sitting in Hasbro R&D where they make the stuff and they make a mold of it, and you know, it costs nothing to make except his time, which I'm sure that I'm not saying they're not worth their time, but you know, I love Hasbro's toys. You know, I got so much of their stuff. So I'm gonna go out and spray paint some of this stuff, and then we'll start painting. Not sure what colors we're going to use yet, but well, yeah, that's pretty good. Be right back. And we're back. So you see in front of you is the Army Painter Mega Paint Set. You got it on Amazon. It's actually a couple years ago. And I came across all these Star Wars Legion figures. And here's a good one. Okay, this is the Imperial Stormtroopers upgrade expansion pack. And so, you know, you buy a squad of troopers, and then you can buy an expansion pack for them. I got all this on Amazon. I get most of my stuff from there. So they're little gray plastic figures. They're like, the arms and legs aren't always on. It just depends on what the stance is they're taking. Again, camera focus here is pretty bad. Eventually I'll buy a new camera. But if we take this Stormtrooper out here, and I forget why this looks so weird. I think it was maybe sat in the box too long. So they've been rubbing up on each other. But I'll have some high resolution photos at the end here. And so, you know, you got the body, you got the arm. This is a Rebel Trooper. So here's what he looks like. Glued together and painted. And then you can either glue them together first and then paint them, or paint them separately and then glue them together. It just depends on how you want to do it. Here's a nice little holder for them. They're specifically designed to hold, you know, D&D figures, Legion character figures. And then here's my paintbrush. You can see they're pretty fine. And you might get frustrated. There's an art to doing this. And when you're holding this and you've got the tiny little brush and you're just, you know, it takes a minute. I used to paint D&D figures, little ones like this when I was in elementary school, so it doesn't bother me. I'm getting back into it. I haven't done this for 40, 45 years now, but I'm slowly getting back into it. And so I started buying a bunch of these Star Wars Legion figures because I thought this would be a great way to build the Battle of Hoth. I have a AT-AT. Here's a snow trooper. And dirty snow trooper, you know, because they're, you know, they might have started out clean, but they got a little dirty. So let me put these back in here. It's easy to lose these parts. So we've got some Rebel troopers here. There's the Tauntaun. Nice close-up picture taken with my iPhone. And then here's a RT Walker, I believe, Rebel trooper. Okay, so this is the paint set I'm going to use on the Greeblies stuff. And I just wanted to show you how we're going to move forward and paint the little figures for the Battle of Hoth. But this is the same paints and stuff I'm going to use on all these Greeblies and other things that I'm making for the Spaceport. Okay. You'll see in the high resolution photos that I'm going to attach into this video that the Rebel troopers look pretty grungy. I did a lot of dark wash on them. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up. I recommend you going to Zoroastro. Here's his YouTube page. This guy, oh my God, boy, if you want to learn how to paint little figures and do it well, you watch that guy. I give him so much credit. I did watch one of his videos while I was painting some of the Tauntaun. I changed the colors a little bit, but it came out pretty well, much better than the other ones, as you can see. I think he uses a Citadel paint set, which is a little bit more expensive, but I suggest you buy the big 50 paint kit set and then the basic black, white, blues, and colors you're going to use more often later. Because that way you start off right off the bat with a nice variety. Check out Amazon first, and and then compare prices with your local stores and D&D stores if you have any near you. Here's the little bases for them. You can glue. They don't come glued to the bases. You'll have to glue them on there yourself. But even if you do, sometimes they snap off. And then you can decorate the bases too. So for the Battle of Hoth, we're going to paint them whitish and sprinkle some fake snow on there. Here's a close-up of the Death Trooper. Fully black. The Rebel Trooper with some dark wash on there. That's why he looks dirty. There's the Tauntaun. I was pretty happy with the Tauntaun. He looks great. So somebody asked me, why does everything look so dirty? I was like, well, this is a battle scene, okay? Nobody looks clean in a battle scene. Maybe before the battle, but even then, you ever seen military equipment? It all looks like it's been through hell. And the rebels, they're just hodgepodge, right? So, one of my plans is, if the rebels are here in their rebel base and they're going to look grungy with the Imperials, on the other side coming this way, then imagine they just landed, the AT-AT and the tank and the AT-STs are coming, and they're forming their little battalions and whatnot. They might look a little bit cleaner, but the rebels are going to look pretty grungy. So let me show you what some of the paints look like. They come in little sets like this: matte white, greedy gold, alien purple, jungle green. These are their actual names, and some dark tones. You do have to know the difference between some of them. Like this is a matte black, whereas this is a dark tone. The dark tone is more watery. Whereas this other one, the matte black, is more paint. This is, so this is, where we use the dark wash to give it a kind of a dirty look. Like they've been dragged to a grease pit or something. Okay, so we're back to just our things that we were working on. We went outside and we painted everything, gave everything kind of a gray primer coat. thinking some of the things maybe I shouldn't have, but that's okay. That's okay. Live and learn. So I'm going to try to hold this stuff and paint it. It's much easier for me to paint if I'm not filming, so I'm not going to sit here and paint everything. If this was an Imperial console, I think they would be black, and maybe the Rebels and other stuff maybe more white. But you can paint them whatever color you like. And if you don't like it, you can just paint over it later. I'm just going to pick some random colors here. And let's see. They can be whatever you want them to be. Let's take this one here. You saw my little plate pop in there. If you want to give everything a metallic coat to start off with, then you could do that. Get some chrome paint or whatnot. I don't think I'm going to do that with everything. So let's put a little drop of paint. You know, I only put a little bit on there. I don't need to use a whole lot. You're just wasting it then. And this has been sitting here. I haven't used these paints in maybe 8 months. So let's see. Take a little bit of that. Let's see if we can do this while I can actually show you too. And just touch up a little bit here. Putting some silver here and there. Maybe here. Okay. And let's get that off of there. Let's switch to okay, hold on. I need a towel here. Let me go grab a towel. Here we go. So let's grab some pure red here. Like I said, it's been sitting, so I gotta shake it up for a second. So I think when I bought this paint kit, it's probably on sale for like $35. But I'm not sure right now. This is probably more like $50 now. Alright, let's try to do something similar here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to add like a little red here and there, and then maybe some blue in a minute. And if you remember in Star Wars, you look at some of the consoles, they were red buttons and blue buttons and white buttons. And that's all we're doing, you know, like we're going to paint this lever here. Then just put some red highlights here and there. Yeah, bring this a little closer. Well, let me move around here a little bit and see if I can do this so you can see it better. Okay, let's put a little red, a little bit more red on this part here. And maybe this little round thingy here. Maybe that's like one of those red all-stop buttons that you can hit in case of emergency. Okay, that's fine. Then let's grab this fella. And this is our, that was our printer ink cartridge, and we glued a little Greebly to the top and turned it into, well, whatever the hell it is now. Okay. And if you don't like it, you can go back and touch up later. And even after the Spaceport's been sitting here for a week or two or a month or even a year, I mean, you can always go back and touch up and repaint and add stuff, take stuff off. You know, it's just to, this is for you. If you're, you know, making it for other people, then make it, you know, I would probably put a little bit more effort into it. So now it looks like, you got red buttons here blinking and whatnot. Alright, on this piece, let's see. Maybe right here? Break up the gray a little bit. There's a nice spot. And yeah, that might be good. That might be good. What about this guy? Let's grab him. Just add a little, looks like 2 little buttons on either side. And yeah, that's good. I'm just giving you an idea of what I'm trying to do here. Alright, let's bring this guy back. I feel like we could do more with him. Let's see, let's take a little red. And yeah, let's just go straight for this little thing on top here. Maybe look like a little light. And again, if you don't like it, we'll paint over it later. In fact, this is acrylic based paint. So if you don't like it, you don't even have to paint over it. If it's on a non-porous surface, you could probably just pick at it with your fingernail and just peel it off. Let's put a little red over here. Okay. I put my arm in the paint, but like it's acrylic, it's non-toxic, it's fine. I wouldn't make a habit of it, but it's fine. Okay, just trying to get the brush into these little crevices here. Now, normally I'd have this like kind of up to my face, but I can't do that and show you how to do it. So, okay. Let's grab this piece over here. This is like where you put wires into a little switch relay is what this is. And so I spray painted it gray, and now we'll put a little red on some spots here. Yeah, and I know this doesn't look like I'm doing a fantastic job here. It's just to show you, just to illustrate what we're doing. When I do the Battle of Hoth setup, I'm going to be far more detailed, and hopefully you'll see just how good we can be at this. Okay, now let's take some crystal blue. Shake it up. Okay, so we're shaking this up, and I think I'm trying to decide what to do here. So I got all. If you look next to the plate there's all these like little wooden crates and barrels and stuff. We'll use some of that too. Although I don't like having wood in Star Wars, but that's just me. Alright, so let's take a little crystal blue, clean our brush. And we're just going to put this over here. And we're just touching up. Just like we did with the red, but now we're doing it with the blue. Let's just paint this whole part here. having fun this weekend. This is what I'm doing. And let's grab this other piece. Besides this, I was going to play some Skyrim and then maybe some Tales of Shire. Those are the only two videos I have right now on my gaming channel. I might do some later. Okay, so let's just keep adding a little bit more blue here and there. That looks pretty good. Let's grab this piece here. And then let's put a little bit of blue on this guy, because we did put a few red parts on him, so let's put a little bit of blue here. Again, it's just highlighting. Not sure. I might put some more stuff around here. Looks like some of the English letters showed up underneath. So ideally, you want to like get a little X-Acto knife and scrape off all the English letters and numbers and stuff if you can, because otherwise it shows through. I was in a bit of a hurry for the video, so I didn't do it here. Okay, well, let's put that aside for a minute. Let's bring this guy forward. And let's see, what can we do with him? Probably need to glue some more stuff on this. A couple more Greeblies. And then we'll paint some more. But for now, we'll just put him aside. Let's bring this guy forward. And yep, well, let's put a little bit of blue across the top here. Looks like a series of blue buttons. This is where we added some red earlier. I'm not sure what to do with that part there. We could put some more stuff around there. Maybe, you know, do some black around the outside or white, and then black on the inside, that little cavity area. But let's paint this Greebly white and see how that looks. You know what? My mistake. Like I said, I'm doing a voiceover here. That wasn't white. That was gunmetal. It just looked shiny. So just making it even, and put a little bit more there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I love gunmetal. Now this thing, you know, I don't even know what this thing is going to be. Look, it could also be like a portable shield generator, right? So since we got the gunmetal out, let's go ahead and go over the top here to kind of give it a difference in color. Remember, it doesn't have to be, this is a spaceport. It's dirty, it's greasy, you know, mechanics working on stuff. So it doesn't have to be like spotless, right? Okay, let's put that aside, clean the brush off. Let's see. Let's put a little bit of blue right here. Break up that gray background. Okay, clean off the brush. So you get the idea of what we're doing here, right? I mean, this isn't rocket science. We just keep adding layers and different colors and stuff. See if we can put a little red button or something on the opposite side. Okay. Let's see. What else can we do here? So like I said, we'll do some close-ups using my iPhone. I'll take some better pictures and put them at the end, because this is the kind of a final video for the Spaceport. And at some point I'm going to come back. I'll show you some things I'll do, because I have some other ideas. You know, put up tiny little posters and some debris. I was thinking maybe some trash laying around here or there. And then, you know, we may go back and touch up and repaint. And if I have an idea, I'll show you. And then every now and then we'll come back and take another full video. But, you know, if you want to see better painting, just go to YouTube and type in painting and like Gandalf or Darth Vader, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, whatever, figures, painting figures, and you'll find a lot of people. I showed you, you know, put the link in there for Zoroastro, and I mean, that guy's just fantastic. You can see what they're doing. In fact, like some of those painters, they even looked up the colors of the various costumes that was used in the movies. So, you know, for stuff like this here, you can look it up to see what the exact colors were. For this piece, I'm thinking we might have to scrape some of that paint off, reveal some of the clear part behind it. And back here, I think we should have done a little bit more primer coat. All right, let's bring this guy first. So you see these open spots here? Kind of want to do something with those. Maybe put some Imperial numbers on there or something. Print them out, cut them out, and then glue them on there. So, you know, for Imperial colors, everything's going to be black and white, and then the Rebels are a variety of colors. It's very dirty looking. So let me go grab some black paint here. And, you know, as I said before, this Spaceport is out of my own head. Didn't come from anywhere. But let's grab this giant can of acrylic black paint. And see this piece and this piece. No, yeah, this one here. And there's enough paint right here in the lid. So, you know, let's say the Spaceport got an Imperial console from somewhere. Maybe a depot, or it was old and they threw it out, or maybe they just stole it, you know. So let's paint it to look like, you know, like you see the consoles and workstations on the Death Star or a Star Destroyer. Let's just go ahead and paint it black here. Again, it's as precise as you want it to be. If you're anal enough to sit there and get a nice coat and then maybe get a little fine sandpaper and sand it and then go back and paint it again. That's fine. You go ahead. I'm probably going to do one coat here, then maybe add some highlights and be done with it. So I hope you're all having a good weekend. I had a pretty good one. I'm sitting here doing this and probably do some gaming later on. Thinking about taking a day off from work where I just don't do anything. Might wander some toy stores. See if I can find some more Star Wars junk. Okay. See if I can get this. You gotta have a steady hand because you gotta get into all the little crevices and then not accidentally paint over, all the other stuff I just painted before with all the red and the blue and the gunmetal. Let's get a different brush here. Keep a variety of brushes. The long round ones will get into like little crevices like this. Whereas the flat one you can see was just for getting the big wide open spaces. Here I can get underneath here with that and then go around the edges here. And then we'll go back to the big flat one to cover this big area back here. Yeah, so I apologize for the voiceover here. I don't know what happened with the audio. That microphone was working pretty good. It was okay. It wasn't fantastic. And then in this last video, it just went completely batshit on me. There's lots of feedback from somewhere, and I wasn't wearing anything. I didn't have my phone with me, and here I'm just showing you which kind of black paint it was. I think I got that for like $5 at a Michael's or a Joann Fabrics. Sometimes you can find things on sale. And know the difference between flat, satin colored, gloss. Flat is no shininess. Satin is and eggshell are a little bit shiny. And then semi-gloss. And then gloss is the really shiny. So if you're doing an Imperial workstation, you should probably do like gloss or high gloss. Rebels, oranges, whites, and beiges, but they're all pretty flat and not shiny. This guy here, we might do the opposite. We might go white or something. Haven't decided yet. So, let's see, what should we do now? I think we could do the inner part. But let me clean the brush off here. Definitely don't leave your brushes dirty. Acrylic paint is plastic. Once it dries, it's plastic. And now you have a plastic coated brush. And if it's completely dry, like a day or two, you can probably get a wire brush and try to clean it, but it's not going to do a whole lot for you. So now on this piece, looks good so far. The red and blue buttons here and there. We did a black background. I'm not sure what I could do more. How about, let me get my little palette back over here and let's put some of this, let's see, what color was that? I think that was the, gunmetal. Yeah, kind of break it up there a little bit. So you got the red and blue buttons with the gunmetal background, and then now the whole console is covered in black. So if you rewind the video and go back and look at this piece before, you saw it was just a dirty beige plastic that we glued to a aluminum little mini vent, and then we painted it and primered it and touched it up, and now look at it. I mean, you would think it probably doesn't look nice enough to say I bought it from somewhere, but it definitely looks like a console now from a starship or a Yavin base, Yavin 4, where they had all the X-Wings and everything. And, you look in the background, you see computer consoles and instrumentation consoles. Let's see. This is a yellow. Let's put a little yellow on there. Call it yellow, but it's I believe it was sunset yellow. And just going to, again, more colors. So you got to put your hand underneath your other hand to get a nice, good, steady hand there. You might hear a cricket in the background. So it's, it's the Midwest. There's crickets all over the place. And in my little gaming area here where I'm recording this video and doing the voiceover, I have my windows closed, and those damn crickets you can still hear them. At night, though, it helps me sleep. So what I was pointing to there was the fact that these consoles will probably sit underneath the second level over there. I could have trashed this video, once the audio is ruined, but I saw that DaVinci had a voiceover ability to record, or voiceover, so I'm just doing it this way. The video itself came out pretty well, and so I was like, well, I didn't want to waste it. Let's just do this. It's me moving around in my chair. Some channels that everybody's very meticulous, and that's fine. Those they work pretty hard. They're monetized and they're making money off of it, but I only have 12 subscribers right now, so I'm not monetized, and I'm kind of having fun with this. I'd love to be monetized. I hope, please like and subscribe and suggest the channel to your friends if you think they would like it. Let's put that out of the way, and let's pick another piece here. See, let's bring this guy forward. Let's do something with him. So we had some blue on there. We did some red. Thinking the rest of it should be done in maybe a white color. That would stand out, Let's see. We could pick a different white. I'm sure I'm thinking of something here. So, and I think that was the flat white I grabbed. Again, you could go back over it with maybe a glossier white, or, I recommend you get a large container like the black paint there you see in the back, the Americana. and then get a large white one as well. And what I'm showing there with my hands is the fact that when this paint dries, as the solvent evaporates, the paint particles come together and they form a polymer, and hence it's liquid plastic is what it is. Once the solvent evaporates, you get a nice plasticky color there, or coating, I should say. So let's try to get into the in between everything we painted here. Now this piece came out pretty good. I was pretty happy with this one. I had some friends over after this video was made, and they were just like, I was doing a barbecue, and I turned around and everybody was gone, and they were downstairs and looking at the spaceport, you know. And so then it was fun. They asked how I did it. I even let one of them, or actually two of them, sit there, and they wanted to paint some of my Star Wars Legion figures. So I was like, okay, sure, go ahead. It's less for me to do. And then another one, he wanted to sit there and, you know, play with Greeblies and stuff, and he started gluing things onto stuff, and it's, you know, it was just fun. I like doing this stuff, and whether I made the YouTube channel or not, I was going to do this anyway. So, but I decided, hey, you know, somebody said make a YouTube channel of yourself doing all this stuff. So I will tell you that there's you know, if you go out there and type tabletop terrain into YouTube and look, there's people out there doing amazing stuff. I saw one today where the guy was making, you know, like a mountainy stone looking tabletop terrain with some ice and snow. And, you know, he just started with extruded foam, like what the tarmac there behind is made of. And then by the time he was done, it looked like stone and ice and all this stuff. And he didn't do anything grand, you know. He just took his time with it and everything. It's fun to do. I love doing this stuff. There's people out there doing some amazing stuff. I totally recommend, if you want it, you know, if you're interested in, you know, you got some stuff you want to display, or maybe your kids have some starships. Some of my grandkids have Star Wars stuff too. And over the past 4 or 5 years, you know, when I've gone to see them, I, you know, take all my paints and stuff with them, and we sat there and we painted Star Wars Legion figures for a whole weekend. You know, they had a blast doing it. And some of the stuff that I have on display, they did. And then, you know, they built a couple of displays for their stuff. So let's just make sure we get all the white paint where we want it. Kind of working fast here. You know, if I wasn't making the YouTube channel, I'd be a little bit more meticulous. Just kind of putting a general coat on. I'll probably go back afterwards off camera and touch it up some more. It's hard to paint this and keep it in the camera view at the same time. All right. Let's see what's next. I'm gonna try to bring that up close. Okay. Keep your paints lidded. Every second it's open, there's a little solvent leaving. And sometimes by the time you get to the bottom of the container, you'll find that it's really crappy paint. Well, you've just lost a lot of solvent. Sometimes you can add a little water to it, but I would find out what kind of solvent they're using. It might be an alcohol or something. You just put a little bit of that in there and shake it up. These paints, they haven't been shaken in a while. I got a friend who offered to put them all take all these little bottles, put them in a paint can, and then I could take it to him at a hardware store and he'll put it in a paint shaker. So, because they've been lying down on their sides for like 2 years. Well, I'm gonna paint all this stuff today, and maybe over the next few days. Not nonstop. I do have other things to do, and then I will put all them back here, show you how I painted everything, and it'll be part of this video. And then the last 10-15 minutes, we're going to put all the ships back on and, kind of go over everything and, show you how the final stuff looks like, and what we did with the marketplace, which is now just a junk depot. And, I had to get rid of the marketplace. I just don't have time to do anything with it. And I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do with it. And because of that, it was stagnant. So I just decided to turn it into a little junk depot, and I think that'll be much better. When we start the Battle of Hoth, that's going to be different. Going to use some still images from Empire Strikes Back, and we'll show you those, which scene we're going to try to copy roughly. There's maps and things that we're going to be looking at, and we're going to try to make it look like what's in the movie, as opposed to this spaceport, which is completely out of my head, which you don't want to be in my head, trust me, it's a little crazy in there. So, and the fortunate thing about Empire Strikes Back is there's a lot of behind-the-scenes videos and everything on how they did, and the wampa and the ice and the snow, and how they did everything. So we're probably going to look at some of that and use that to help us. The big centerpiece will be the AT-AT, which is the big Hasbro one, and that should be interesting. You'll see. That's going to be. I had fun with this, but that's going to be even more fun. If you want to build something like this, I suggest you start small, and I encourage you to do so. Just do it. Give it a try. This was my first experiment with terrain building, and I started off way too big. But it's been fun. I don't regret any of it at all. I suggest you start with something small. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll give you an example here. Let's take this. This is a piece of extruded foam. And you see this is probably about, 6 inches by 8 inches maybe. And here's one of my little Chrome Trooper figures. This is one of my favorite pieces, actually. So, they're on a rock face. He's standing over his battle buddy. This is from Attack of the Clones. So now what you could do is you could get some Mod Podge and mix it with some drywall mud. And you see he's standing over his fallen buddy, and then you could add texture to the surface of this to match the rock face, but more flat, right? Because he's jumping over the rock right there. And then you could put that texture down, paint it to match, and then look, you could put this piece back here, and let's grab something else. Let's see, what do we got here? Just as an example. That piece. Where's that other little piece that I had a minute ago? That might work. Let's see. Put that piece there. That. So because they're in a battle. There's broken up battle droids and AT-ATE parts everywhere. Now look, boom. You just made a cool little scene using a figure that you already had, and look how quickly you've got the scene set up. That's all you needed. Imagine if that was like the same rock color and everything. You can match the colors. Just mix it and slap it on there, and mix it and slap it on there, and see how it looks, and then paint it and rough it up, and you can cut into the foam and then or glue other pieces of foam to it to put more rocks there. I think that's like a replica of a clone trooper on Geonosis anyway. So think of the fun you could have with that. You know, you could put a piece back there. See? So there's all sorts of projects you can do on your own here. Don't be afraid to start. Just start. And if you mess it up, who's going to see it? It's going to sit in your house anyway. You know, don't just sit in front of the TV all day. It's not good for you. It causes depression, and it's been proven that it causes depression many times over. Get up and do something. You know, I encourage you to start a hobby. Okay, well, I've been on all kinds of rants now. I'll be back in a minute. After I've painted this, it's actually going to be a couple days for me, but maybe a second for you. And then we'll put it all together, and that'll be that. Okay. We're back. Now, this is not going to match up very well because I'm sitting here talking. The paint sat a little bit too long is what I'm talking about here. And they weren't spreading well. So we had to go and shake them up and all that good stuff. And so, you know, like I was saying, we had to go back and shake up the paints a little bit. And we had to do some other stuff. So this was an 8-month journey. I was working on and off on this for some time. There's some stuff that was done off camera and some stuff that was done on camera. And there was nothing done off camera that was critical to really show you. But I think I should have done more on camera. Again, first video series, first YouTube. You know, the first few videos were made with my iPhone, and then we got a camera, which is a so-so kind of camera. And by the time we get to the Battle of Hoth series, even now, I've bought new microphones. So this was filmed, you know, a couple weeks ago, and then now I'm using my HyperX cast microphone up here to do the voiceover. And I bought some DJI microphones for the new series. It sounds much better now. Still need to work on the resolution of the camera, but really don't want to spend money. Don't want to spend $1,000 on a camera right now. So we'll be more hands-on in the Battle of Hoth. I'm going to show you the cutting and the shaping and all that good stuff, and spraying the Mod Podge and painting and layering and all that good stuff. Again, everything I'm saying isn't matching up to what you see me talking about in the video voiceover. Okay, let's move some stuff around here, and I will show you up close footage of the entire spaceport. Okay, you know what? It's funny. I'm watching this the original YouTube for this play on a different screen. And I was reading the subtitles from that to this. And I'm watching myself talk about various things, and it's like, wow, it's just meandering about all kinds of shit. We'll cut a lot of that out here. I'm going to leave this part in there, so it's just funny. I was never into watching myself on video or listening to myself. Okay, so here we go. Here is the new depot area. I think these are from some Phantom Menace things. Figures. We got the little spy in the background. There's the Y-wing with the pilot and one of the pod racing guys. I turned him into a mechanic. His arms keep falling off. So I'm including some high resolution photos from the iPhone to kind of overlay onto the shitty camera resolution here. There's a Kaminoan, or Kaminoan I should say, with an R2 unit behind her bothering her. And there's a little Anakin figure there in the bottom right. There's that little printer cartridge with the console. You see what we did there? That worked out really nicely. Looks like it belongs there. Now there's the Canto Bight security fighter. Or ship. Not sure if it's a fighter. He's talking to the Wolfman Jedi and the Chewbacca or Wookiee from one of the comic books. I found that figure in a dollar bin somewhere. There's the A-Wing. Here is, I don't remember what figure that is. That might be the A-Wing pilot. And he's doing some maintenance on the Razor Crest. And there's Grogu up there drinking some bone broth soup while the droid is trying to work. Of course, he's getting on everybody's nerves. They can annoy each other, you know. And that little ladder right there, that's a Tinker Turf set. I was mentioned in another video earlier. There's Mando talking to an Ugnaught. They've unloaded a bunch of stuff from the Razor Crest. There's that little piece there. Don't know what it is. Maybe a pylon or something. Here's a nice view looking down the walkway with the floor tiles. There's the other piece. We'll probably paint those a little bit more. That'll be future videos. Like I said, we'll come back to the Spaceport a little bit here and there. It won't be weekly or monthly, but whenever I think of doing something. There's a console that we painted white with a one of those medic droids standing in front of it. That came out really nice. There's another view. There's the X-Wing. Let's come around this way. Here's the X-Wing, that one piece that had the wires. So now it looks like, you know, they're doing a diagnostic on the E-Wing and the X-Wing by bringing a diagnostic cable over. And, you know, that's just the end of the wire. I just decided to stick it somewhere. So, again, it looks like it belongs there. There's Bosk Transdashan with an R2 unit in front of a little computer console. And of course the Ghost. The Ghost is the reason for the Spaceport in general. There's those two pieces there that we did. Again, just still primer gray. We'll do something else to those once I think of what to do. A little back away shot of the Ghost. I love the Ghost. I mean, Hasbro, they outdid themselves with this one, and it's huge. It weighs like 10-15 pounds, I think. We've got the little the heavy lifting droid from Obi-Wan, and then another little pit droid there on the left. So this may not be the greatest series when it comes to terrain building, but it is something fun and I really enjoyed it. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. And not only that, but I'm happy because I can keep working on it. I'm going to do more stuff to it. We'll put up some fake posters like I mentioned. We'll, you know, maybe dirty up the tarmac a little bit, maybe put some patches on there. And I'll make videos of all that stuff, you know. It's this. I might be working on this on and off here and there for the next few years. Not sure if I'll ever actually be 100% done with it. You know, this is very colorful. There's a lot going on here. It's very busy compared to like the Battle of Hoth. Battle of Hoth is going to be very different, and it's going to be all snow, ice, rock color. And in some ways, I think it might be a little bit easier because, you know, I can make those colors in big batches and just slather the paint on. But I think in other ways, it's going to be even more fun because it's a scene I've always wanted to depict. So it should be. I think it's going to look even better. And my goal is to be better. You know, this was a starter series, and then we're gonna be better with the next series, and then the next one after Battle of Hoth, which might take a year and a half to do. We'll do the Battle of Geonosis because I have tons of Hasbro Clone Wars figures, the ATTE, the gunships, the assault shuttle, everything. I got all that stuff that I want to display. Where the hell am I going to put it? That I don't know. I mean, so this spaceport, I'm going to move to the right and then start the Battle of Hoth in this spot on an 8-foot 4x8 sheet of foam. And then when that's done, we're going to have to put that someplace. Here's a nice, here's some photos that we're going to take, and I'll just leave you with this. I thank you for watching the series, and I hope you have fun. And please try to do something like this on a smaller scale or a larger scale and enjoy it. All right, Doofus Bob signing out here. I will see you at the Battle of Hoth series to come out in probably a week or two after this episode here drops. Take care, everybody. See you later.